Welcome back everyone, Mudford here. So my son decided we were going to get a new lawnmower. He was vacuuming some leaves up. We got one of those AgriFab pull behind leaf vacuums. And he got a whole bunch of leaves jammed up under the exhaust and didn't realize it and caught the whole mower on fire. And I tried to get it out of here. It was pretty close to the house here. So I tried to get it out of here. Hooked my truck up to the back because the front was on fire and was trying to drag it out away from the house, but it was on fire pretty good then. What I actually did was I ran it into the tree and then the tow strap broke and then the tree burned up a little bit. So we ended up buying this mower. I got this mower quite cheap because it has some engine issues, but it is a G series. Doesn't have the little sissy tires on it. It's got a huge tire on the back, and it's just a little bit heavier duty lawnmower. The mower deck is 54 inches wide. It's electric PTO instead of the old clutch and the belt tensioner for the mower deck. Big old 25 horse motor on it, but it appears this side has some issues. The way it was popping, I'm assuming it's an exhaust valve. So my plan is to pull the heads off, have a look at them, and put at least new head gasket on the other side, clean everything up, inspect it, and figure out what's wrong here and replace everything I need. I obviously need a valve. Don't know how bad it is, but that's our plan, and hopefully get this going before too long. So I think the first thing we're going to do is just pull this valve cover off on the side that has no compression, and we're going to see if we see anything obvious. Our valve keeper is off. Those there. Yeah, it's turned. There's our keepers. Think we'll get it close to top dead center and put some compressed air in to kind of help hold it. And that'll tell us if it seals good or not, and then maybe we can get the spring pushed in and the keeper back on without taking the head off, and we'll see if it runs all right. So yeah, found another problem already. Took the rocker arm off, and this push rod is pretty bent. I think we're still going to go ahead with the plan. We're going to straighten this as good as we can and put it together and get the valve back together and go ahead and put everything back in and see how it runs. So you can probably hear this hissing a little bit. This is my cylinder leak down checker. I need to get a new fitting here. That's what the problem is the fitting where the air is coming out. But looks like we've got good compression. The compressed air is holding the valve sealed shut. So we should be able to get the keeper back on, possibly. I can't hold the camera, and it's going to be tricky enough. So I'm just going to go ahead and get these, going to somehow get the spring compressed and get the keepers in. Okay, that went way easier than expected. I was actually able to hold them back by hand and use my thumb like that to push the keeper down in, and it looks like it's in. So the next thing I'm going to do is straighten that push rod out This definitely isn't perfect, but it's a heck of a lot better than it was. I'm going to go ahead and throw it in there and we'll see what happens. Okay, we're all back together now. We're going to go ahead and check compression and see if it's any better. Much better. We're going to go ahead and throw the plugs in and see what happens now. Okay, now for the moment of truth, I'm going to hit the key and we'll see what happens. That's not too bad. I have it running really good. So that really did us nothing. I'm going to go ahead and dig into this further and see what parts I really need to buy. I know I need a push rod. I'm going to get a new rocker arm and at least a new valve here, maybe. We'll see. I think I might have damaged the head as well. So we're just going to dig into this and figure out what we really need to buy here. And I'm going to clean all this grass clippings out of here as well. Got to be something under this cover where the intake goes into the head. And then there's two exhaust nuts here. Gonna have to take this off. And then there's more head bolts under this cover, which is gonna have to come off. So I'm just going around now and getting things unhooked. I unhooked the linkage down here. I took the bolt off the rod here, unbolted the fuel pump and the bracket here, unbolted the oil cooler. This might be some kind of voltage regulator. Not super familiar with these, but I'm going to take it off the cover layer on the bottom part. Then you can pull the 4 bolts off the fan cover, and then it should just pull right out of the way. So we do got some grass clippings we're going to want to get out from down in here, because this is what's cooling your engine. You don't want it all jammed full of grass. That's not going to help any. So our intake looks relatively simple on this. We just got to take 2 bolts out and we should be good. And it should slide. We should be able to slide this head right off once we get these 2 bolts out, the 2 exhaust off, and then the 4 head bolts. I think we should be set. This is pretty straightforward. I took the muffler cover off so I would have some more room down here. And I think I'm going to be working on these. Probably grinding these off. The previous owner tried to fix them and it looks like bird poop, and you can see it's leaking exhaust. I am definitely by no means a good welder, but I think I can grind this off and do a lot better than that. So I'm going to go ahead and pull both pipes off and get this cleaned up and looking better. I had to take this other bracket off. Hooks down on the bottom of the head, goes across to the other cylinder head. So I got it loose and out of the way. I think the only thing I have left to do now is the 4 head bolts, and we'll pop this baby right out. Okay, it should just slip off now, maybe. The exhaust is hitting. Looks like I'm going to have to take the exhaust off on the other head so I can get it to drop down enough to get out of the way. Okay, once I got the exhaust out of the way, the head slid right off. You can see there's a problem here with like the valve guide. I assume that's got to be the valve guide. You can see maybe it's pretty damaged on the bottom side. So what we have to determine is if I can replace that or not, or find a used cylinder head and go from there. But I'm going to go with, like, if I can find a complete cylinder head, I'll do that. And then replace the push rod and the rocker arm. And then put it back together. Or if I can find this guide and seal and go from there. My parts for this John Deere mower came. We've got a head gasket kit, set of push rods, and a used cylinder head from eBay. So I'm going to go ahead and get started putting these on. I'm going to clean up on the engine cylinders where the head gasket goes, and also right here. It's aluminum, so I'm not going to get real carried away. I'm just going to use a disc on here. Just going to give it a quick clean up with this. Okay, I got it cleaned up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and put the new head on right now. I'm going to get the push rod somewhat in place here. So we got everything started now. So now I'm going to put on the head stud nuts and washers. And these down in 2 steps. The first step is going to be 150 inch-pounds. Which I think we're right at now. And our next step will be 300 inch-pounds. So while I was looking into this, I see that they raised the torque spec on these bolts from 100 inch-pounds to 165. And when I consider mine was loose and turning, I'm going to go ahead and check these and increase them, because I think that is what originally went wrong with mine, is the bolt came loose a little bit and let it pivot off the valve, and then it just, the valve spring came apart, the keepers came off, and the push rod ended up bending. So I'm going to go ahead and do this side, and then before I put it together, I'm going to go ahead and take this valve cover off and increase the torque on those on the other side so it doesn't come off as well. Okay, we got our helicoil kit in. That was the only thing stopping us from finishing this mower up. So what I need to do is drill that hole out to a 1/4 inch. Run this, I have to run this tap that came in the kit, and then we're going to put one of these helicoils in there, and hopefully we'll be able to torque the bolt down and we'll be good to go, and we can finish putting this together. Once I get everything closed up, I'll clean some of the debris out of the fins here, and hopefully it doesn't overheat anymore, and hopefully it runs good from here on out. I also have to do some welding. The exhaust was kind of cobbled together, so I'm going to weld that up while we're at this point here. I'm going to go ahead and get that all taken care of, and hopefully it'll last a while. First thing I'm going to do is grab the drill. Got my 1/4 inch bit on, and I'm going to drill the hole out. Okay, that was pretty easy. We're going to run the tap through it now and hopefully get some good threads in there. I've threaded this tap in and out a few times. It's pretty easy because it's going into aluminum. So I think we got it pretty good. Threads look pretty good. Just gonna hit it with a little compressed air and get all the shavings out. And it looks really good. Now we just need to get the helicoil inserted in there, and then we should be set to go. The helicoil kit I got came with this, and I actually started the helicoil on the threaded rod here and got it just a little bit of it sticking out. I think that's just more to support it. This is just plastic, and it's threaded in the end too. And I just used this to hold it while I was turning this end in and turning the helicoil in. You can see it's turned in there now quite a bit. I'm just going to keep going with it till it doesn't go any further. So we're all helicoiled up now. I'm going to go ahead and put the rocker arm and the pedestal on and get the push rod in there. So our push rod goes in there. I'm going to have to set the camera down here. Don't have my GoPro with me right now, but just going to slap this together. So we got all the covers bolted on. Everything back together on the mower now. And I'm going to go ahead and fire it up. So it idles good now, runs pretty smooth. And I have about 700 total into this mower. You can sometimes end up with a good deal if you're willing to do a little bit of work on it where someone else wasn't. So basically I have this garden tractor for $700, which isn't bad. With a 54-inch mower deck on it, which is huge, so that should cut the mowing time down quite a bit.